Hey everyone, welcome back to Tallulah Talks. That is me. If you hear noises in the background, that is my bird, so just try and ignore him during this video. Today is Wednesday, which means it is Killer Wednesday, and today we are going to focus on Jodi Arias and the murder of her boyfriend, Travis Alexander. So this is quite a gruesome case, and I am going to include pictures of the crime scene. So if you don't like anything bloody anyway, just do not watch certain parts of this video where I kind of mention the crime scene. So let's get started. Jodi Arias was born July 9th, 1980 in California to William Angelo and Sandy Arias. She had one older half-sister, a younger sister, and two younger brothers. There's not much that is known about her childhood because Jodi would say one thing and her parents and her siblings disagreed with what she said, so we're not really sure about her whole childhood. According to her parents, she had a really happy and normal childhood. According to Jodi, she was abused. So like I say, according to Arias, her childhood was filled with abuse, and she claimed that she was beaten with belts and wooden spoons. Arias then attended Eureka Union High School. However, she dropped out in 11th grade, but she later earned her GED. We're not sure why she dropped out. She maybe just didn't enjoy school, didn't enjoy living at home. It was said that she did have an enjoyment for photography and she was actually quite good at it. And her interest actually continued into adulthood, and she actually kind of made a bit of a career out of it. She did take up a lot of part-time employment as a professional photographer, but I think she also did jobs in like waitressing and stuff just to kind of like pay her bills. She would work as a server at a Californian restaurant. It was the Ventana Inn and Spa, and this was in the fall of 2001. Her mum Sandy described Arias' childhood as pretty normal, pretty happy, and I think the siblings actually said this as well. But it is said that she was particularly close to her brother Carol, and it was thought that at 17, Jodi moved out just as kind of part of a rebellious phase in her life. While working at the restaurant that I had mentioned earlier, Jodi met a man named Daryl Brewer, and they began dating in 2003. Together they actually bought a house in Palm Desert, and they each decided that they would pay $2,800 each to the mortgage. So now we're kind of going to move on to the meeting of Travis. It was at this time Jodi actually began working for prepaid legal services in February of 2006, while she was also still working at the restaurant. I'm not sure if she was still working with her photography, because it never said. And it was said that at this time she kind of gradually became involved in the Mormon church, and she was part of the community, and it was said that they were always at her home doing things like Bible studies and prayer nights. Her relationship with prepaid legal, which I think was also part of the Mormon church, kind of increased. And this actually caused problems in her relationship with Brewer. She also then stopped actually paying her agreed half of the mortgage, and the two actually decided to split in December 2006, but they did stay friends. Before this though, Jodi actually met Travis in September of that year, and he was a salesman for prepaid legal services. She had met Travis at a company conference in Las Vegas, and he was also a fellow Mormon. He was very dedicated to the church. According to Jodi, they later developed a sexual relationship, after 1 week of meeting, which would put it in like that she was cheating on her boyfriend at the time. Jodi and Travis then developed an immediate attraction to each other, and they would be seen together and like travelling to loads of different states, because that was just part of their job. And when they weren't together, it would be said that they would be constantly texting, emailing, and on the phone to each other. There was a ceremony held at the Mormon Church in South California, and this was held November 26, 2006, and this saw Jodi Arias getting baptized. This kind of allowed her to join the church of the Latter-day Saints, so the LDS Church, and according to Arias, she actually did this to get closer to Travis. In February 2007, Arias moved from California to Mesa, and at this point, Travis and Jodi decided to kind of call it quits on their relationship in June. However, they did still meet up for like casual sex, and Jodi actually accused Travis at this time of physical and sexual abuse. However, there was no evidence that came to light, so nothing came of it. Travis at this time also suspected that Jodi was stalking him. She would constantly send him messages, threaten him, and he would also threaten the women that he was apparently seeing. He actually then soon began to complain about this to his friends, and in spite of the like allegations against each other, so him of the stalking and then Jodi of the abuse, they actually still continued a sexual relationship. In March 2008, Jodi was allocated again to Eureka, California, and it was at this time that she moved in with her grandparents. So let's move on and talk a little bit about Travis. Travis Alexander was born in Riverside, California in July 28th, 1977. So he was a bit older than Jodi. He was born to Gary and Pamela Alexander, and at age 11, Travis actually moved in with his grandparents. It's not said why he moved in with them. There's not like a reason listed, but he had a lot of younger siblings, and when his dad died in 1997, Travis's 7 siblings were then taken in by the grandparents. His mum was still alive at this point, but she maybe just couldn't take care of 7 children by herself. Many of Travis's friends didn't like Jodi, and they believed that she had an unhealthy obsession with Travis. His friends stated that Jodi would eavesdrop in conversations, look through Travis's emails and his social media. She went so far as to forward herself emails between Travis and the other woman who he was seeing at the time. Friends would actually voice their concerns to Travis, with one saying, quote, "I'm afraid we're going to find you chopped up in a freezer," end quote. Despite this, Travis insisted that Jodi was actually a good person, and despite ending things with her, it's like she kind of had this spell on him, so to speak, because every single time he would go back. His friends reported that as he began seeing other women, because like I said, him and Jodi were not in a relationship, Jodi's obsession with Travis actually got worse. Jodi went so far as to slash Travis's tires, hack into his social media account, and she harassed the women that he was dating. At one point, friends stated that Jodi would even break into his apartment, which is quite scary. Friends also reported that this behaviour would then, rightfully so, anger Travis, and he would. But then, this is the thing, he would get really angry with her, but then he would still have sex with her within like a short amount of time. So she must have had some kind of spell over him. The relationship was described as very toxic, and texts from May 2008 showed that the couple had a huge fight. We're not sure what this fight was about, but this actually led to Travis calling Jodi a sociopath. And he also told his friends, quote, "Don't be surprised if you find me dead one day," end quote. So he actually believed that Jodi was going to do something to end his life. So moving on to the murder, June 9th, 2008, Travis's friends were starting to get worried about him because they hadn't heard from him in 5 days. And this wasn't like Travis at all. It was really unusual, and especially at this time because the friends and Travis were planning a trip to Cancun, and so they were constantly in touch with each other trying to plan this trip. So what happened was a small group of his friends went to Travis's house and actually found Travis's bloodied body in the shower. Travis had been shot in the head and stabbed 27 times and had his throat cut. And it was actually said that his throat was cut so bad that it nearly decapitated him. And I've actually seen the photos of this, and it's a pretty bad... I mean, you would have to cut someone pretty deep to make the wound that he had. Investigators also found long brown hairs, a digital camera in the washing machine, and a bloody handprint on the wall. The police then decided to investigate, and Travis's friends urged the police to investigate Jodi. One of them stated, quote, "She was a stalker, an ex-girlfriend, and she wouldn't leave Travis alone," end quote. Jodi originally denied being at Travis's house. She reportedly told police that she hadn't seen Travis for a couple of months. However, investigators were actually able to gain access to the photos in the camera that they found. And they found time-stamped photos from June the 4th showing Travis and Jodi in bed together. So then she kind of had to change her story, obviously. There was one at 5:29 p.m. which showed Travis in the shower, which, again, I have seen this photo, and he actually looks pretty distressed. So whether Jodi was actually threatening him at this point, I'm not sure, but he looks quite distressed in the photo. And the next photo showed Travis bleeding on the floor. At this time, Jodi did admit she had been with Travis that night, but she swore that she hadn't killed him. It was at this time that police showed photos of Travis in the shower, and Jodi actually had an explanation ready. She admitted to police that she had driven to Travis's house on June 4th. She claimed that they had sex and that she did take photos, but she then said that 2 masked men appeared and killed him. Jodi claimed that the intruders had threatened to kill her family if she told anyone. Investigators saw right through this and actually charged Jodi with first-degree murder. So going on to the trial, which I'm not sure, but obviously the murder had actually happened in 2008, but it didn't actually go to trial until 2012. I'm not going to lie, I'm not really sure how trial timelines work, but usually it's within like a year that they go to trial. But anyway, the prosecution basically explained to the court that Jodi and Travis's DNA had been found on the bloody handprint that was found on the wall, and that Travis had been killed with the same type of gun that had gone missing from Jodi's grandparents' house because she was living with the grandparents at the time. The prosecutors had built their case on like the jealous ex, and that Travis initially had invited Jodi to Cancun with him, but then he decided to withdraw this invitation and he had actually invited someone else. It was at this point that the prosecution put forward that she had killed Travis out of jealousy. As for the defence, Jodi... So obviously we've gone from Jodi completely denying that she had killed Travis to, her not being there that night, and then to the masked intruders. This is the 4th lie that she's told. So the defence put forward that Jodi had killed Travis in self-defence and claimed that Travis had lost his temper when she had dropped the camera. But how would you drop a camera in a washing machine? In a bathroom? Yeah. So it was reported that she was forced to kill him to protect herself. The defence showed Travis to be a sex addict and a porn addict, and that he physically and emotionally abused Arias. So remember, she had put forward, like, I think it was like the year before, that he was physically and sexually abusive. So they kind of continued that narrative. The trial lasted 4 months. However, the jury did side with the prosecution and found Jodi guilty of first-degree murder. And to this day, Jodi still denies that she killed Travis, even though the defence put forward that she did kill Travis. So it's a bit weird. And moving on finally to the psychological analysis, although I don't think she's been diagnosed, this is kind of just from the viewpoint of a couple of psychologists who had watched the case. So a psychological analysis shows that Arias did show signs of antisocial personality disorder, or otherwise known as psychopathy. She didn't comply with the law. And she was known to be an expert in manipulation, lying, and she was apparently quite abusive. Because remember, her and Travis would have these fights. She would be very harassing towards Travis and the girls he was seeing, to the point where she would slash their car tires. And then she would manipulate Travis back into bed with her. So it kind of mixes in. And it is thought that she lied about the abuse. She was known to be aggressive, like I said, especially when Travis was seeing other women. And she also had no remorse for the crimes that she committed. She constantly, to this day, denies that she killed Travis. And she obviously, I think in court there's pictures of her, but she doesn't look sad. She it's just kind of like, she's like a robot. And that is the kind of sad story of the murder of Travis Alexander. I think you could kind of see signs early on that Jodi was quite a dangerous person, especially when, she would break into Travis's apartment, she slashed car tires, she, hacked his social media. That is not the actions of a typical person. I do have a few ideas for the next couple of weeks in the murders that I am going to be looking at, because remember, I also like to look into the psychological explanations. And that's not giving them an excuse. It is not, it's not justifying what they did. It's just that I like to look into the explanations for why these things might have taken place. But if you do have any murders for me you would like me to look into, leave it in the comment box below. And if this is the sort of content you like, I am here every Wednesday for Killer Wednesday, and usually every Saturday for Saturday's Haunting Hour. So definitely click that subscribe button, and I will see you on Saturday.